everybody, my name is Hafrisha and you're watching a live walk-around video of this new Hyundai ioniq hybrid. This car was launched in November, December last year before the end of the year, and now we get it to test. We get tested out on the streets, on the road, to see just how actually good this car is. This version, this is a C-segment hatch, but over here it goes against the regular C-segment sedans in Malaysia, like the Honda Civic, the Toyota Corolla Altis and whatnot. This is an extremely interesting, extremely good valued car in this class especially. Let's take a look at the details, the fundamental features of this car first. This is a hybrid, it's a full hybrid, it's not like a mild hybrid like the previous Honda Jazz hybrids and whatnot. This one has a proper full hybrid. That means the car can run on full electric mode for a very short distance. So when you start the car, the engine doesn't start. So as you move off the first couple hundred meters, the first kilometer maybe, if you're very gentle with the throttle, it will be on full EV mode. So this car in light city traffic will be very, very much fuel efficient. The engine itself, can someone open the engine please? The engine itself is a 1.6 litre direct injection engine. Let's open up the bonnet. Yep. Yeah, there's no gas straps, so you can go old school and do this, which is not very fun, but C-segment model, that's just part of the course. So 1.6 litre direct injection engine. The engine itself makes 105 PS and 147 Newton meters of torque. But well, that's not enough for a car of this size and this weight. It also paired up with a big electric motor. Electric motor is rated at 42 PS and 170 Newton meters of torque. Combined, the whole system makes 141 PS and 265 Newton meters of torque. And that may not still sound like a lot for this car, and 0 to 100 takes 11.1 seconds, so it's not a high performance car. Top speed is also fairly low, only 185 kilometers per hour. So again, if you're looking for performance, this may not be the car for you, but if you're looking for efficiency, you're looking to save money on fuel cost, this is great because it's rated to use just 3.4 liters per 100 kilometers, at least in Europe, and that translates to almost 30 kilometers per liter. In the real world, you'll be looking at 20-25 kilometers per liter if you're being gentle and not going full throttle all the way. Okay, and just do this. Okay, this is very, very cool. Anyway, someone help please. Anyway, this car uses a dry clutch, dual clutch gearbox that sends power to the front wheels. Yeah, like I said, dry clutch, dual clutch gearbox sends power to the front wheels. So this is a front wheel drive car, just like most of its class segment rivals. Okay, now let's take a look at the looks of this car. Don't mind me sweating so much, it's very, very hot as you can see. Okay, this car looks like how you would expect an hybrid to look like. It's got a very futuristic, very sharp look at the front end, and the headlamps, if you look closely, it's only up to here. All these black bits, plastic bits that go into the grille, make it look a bit more sporty as well. It's a very nice mix of colors. You can see inside the headlamp there's a light blue trim over there, and if you look further out, you'll see this gloss black plastic here, this matte grey finish down here. It's all a very nice mix of colors. And if you look to the main grille, the HEV Plus version that we have here has got this slightly different chromed and piano black finish here. Whereas if you buy the more affordable HEV non-Plus version, you get just a black finish on this chrome, on this grille, so it's less interesting, I would say. And also, depending on what color you buy, you will also get different finish on this bottom trim. You may get white, grey, or even blue finish down there. This car in white if you get the car in full white, the bottom will be finished in blue. That's a very striking color contrast, I think, which I quite like. But of course, if you want the whole car to be striking, you can get the car in bright blue like this, or even a very unique orange. It's almost red. It's, if you want to get noticed, get that one. You'll be the center of attention wherever you go. Okay, I forgot to mention the price. There are two models. This one is the top spec HEV Plus model. It goes for 114,000 ringgit without insurance. Whereas the cheaper model, the HEV Non-Plus, that one goes for just slightly over 100,000 ringgit. So there's a $14,000 difference. But what you get is quite a bit more. If you splurge a bit the extra for the HEV Plus, you get xenon headlamps. Whereas if you get the lower model, you get just halogen reflectors instead. And the higher model also gets LED light guides for the front, positioning lamps, and LED DRLs down here. The LED DRLs are actually down here and not here, which is a bit weird. But you do get a very nice signature light down there. If you see here, this gills down here, these are not purely cosmetics because these actually work. These channels the air through the gills and to come out outside the wheels like that. I'm not sure you can see it, but there's a hole from in front of the wheel. It goes over and around the wheels like that. This aids aerodynamics. So this car has a really good aerodynamic because it's meant to be as efficient as possible. So if you come out to the side here, you can see the shape of this car. It's a very familiar shape because this is what the Prius has been doing for a long time, for the past 10-15 years. Hyundai, they haven't just copied the Prius. They've done this by their own research, by their own CFD, computer fluid dynamics, and they've come up with a similar conclusion to Toyota with the Prius. So this is what they say is the most efficient shape for a hybrid car. The coefficient of drag of this car is extremely low, 0.24. Extremely low for this, so there's very minimal turbulence. As the wind rolls around the car, it goes around it. There's a lot less. There's very little drag. So you just go through the air really quickly. You don't get much wind noise. You use less fuel as well because you're not fighting the air so much. On the back here, sorry, let's take a look at the wheels first. The wheels are really nice two-tone 17-inch wheels. And this is the same whether you get the HEV or the HEV Plus version. And a nice thing that you can see is that it comes with very high quality Michelin Prima Seat 3 tires. These are high quality touring tires, so they provide less noise. They provide very long touring ability, so you can go for very long miles with this without changing your tires. And well, of course, it looks good as well. It's much better than the very cheap CKD tires that we are used to here. On the back here, you get the usual hybrid twin panel rear window like this. So it may look decent, it may look really good on the outside. This also acts like a integrated spoiler of sorts in terms of design. But this affects the rear visibility because when you're in the driver's seat, when you look back, there's this big huge thing blocking your view. So you get a split view, top and bottom. And what you can see, what you see the most is this small tiny slot. So when you're backing out of a parking lot or something, it may be a bit constricted. But on the other hand, you also get standard reverse camera down there. So yeah, it will help if you don't want to rely on what you can actually see through the windows. Just look at the rear view camera, then it should be fine. Okay, what else? The tail lamps. The tail lamps are unique for the HEV Plus. HEV Plus gets full LED tail lamps, whereas the basic model gets normal bulbs instead. Of course, it looks better in the high spec model, as you would expect. So both front and back you can definitely tell whether you've bought the high spec version or the lower spec model. The difference isn't that big, but it's noticeable enough. So to me, that's a big enough difference to splurge for the higher end instead. Let's take a look at the boot. The boot, Hyundai Malaysia claims that it has 750 liters of space, but take one look at it, you know it doesn't have that much. There's a lot less, I think. It's probably around the 300 liter range or something like that. But one problem is, because they fitted a full-size spare tire down there, which is nice. And the rim that you see here is also the same wheel that you get on the outside, full 17-inch with Michelin tires as well. So if you happen to like at no charge, so you get a free replacement of sorts. But well, that is very convenient because they've fitted a full-size spare tire. The boot is slightly raised, the floor is raised, so the boot height is actually very low. See this? It's not very wide. Put it up right there. It doesn't fit. And then you can't close the tonneau cover. It's a very shallow opening as well, so it's not very practical if you ask me. But if you're carrying long items, you can just fold the rear seats forward like that, push it forward, and you do get a pretty decent long load brake and flat as well. You've got long items, slide it over. Decent. Okay, so practicality wise, this is technically still a hatchback, so you can carry a longer, bigger loads. But if you're planning to drive this car with 4 or 5 people, boot space isn't massive because it's quite shallow. Right, next we're going to go back to the front of the car. There's something that is very unique to this car here. And this is it. Some people when they see this, they're thinking, what's this? There seems to be a plastic cover on the front logo, but what you're actually seeing is the radar, the sensors for the high-tech safety systems on this car. This car has got something called the smart cruise control system. So it's an adaptive cruise control system. So when you're going on a highway, you set your cruise control to say 110, 115 kilometers per hour. Oh, sorry, 110 of course, because you got to go under the speed limit. So if you set it to a certain limit and then you just go along the way, there's a car, if just so happens the car cuts in front of you at a lower speed, and this will recognize the car being there, and it will slow down the car to match the speed of that car. It will also match the speed of the car in front, managing a certain gap. Let's say the car in front moves away, then your car will automatically go forward and go back to the original speed that you've already set. It's something that we have seen before in very high-end models like Mercedes-Benz and BMWs, but never before in a more mainstream model like this. This car at 114,000 ringgit with this feature, I think that's really amazing value. Another thing that this car has is AEB, electronic autonomous emergency braking. So if it detects that you're about to go into an accident with a car or a pedestrian at a certain lower speeds, this car will detect that before you can actually see it, and it will automatically brake for you. Again, it's about preventing a crash before it happens, and for this price, that's something that's extremely unique, extremely attractive to me. Safety, because you don't mess with safety, of course, and this car has safety in loads, because as standard across the range, you also get 7 airbags, you get electronic stability control, the full beams, and if you get the high spec version, you get AEB, you get smart cruise control, blind spot system. You also get active lane keep assist. So if you're going on a highway, somehow you lose concentration and you swerve away from the lane, you will also get a slight notification on the car that you're swerving away from the lane. And if you still don't react to that, the car will actually turn the steering wheel for you to keep within the lane. Like I it, something that has never been seen in this class of car before. Next one, we're going to take a look at the inside. So, cameraman, let's move over. Okay, don't mind me, I'm going to enjoy the aircon a little bit. Speaking of the aircon, this car has got a standard dual zone climate control system, so whether you buy the lowest model or the high spec version that you see here, you get the same dual zone aircon control stuff there. There you go. And this also has a single zone version, single zone mode if you want. Press sync and then both left and right will go to the same, will match the same temperature. But if you want, press bin can have different settings. Okay. This being so high tech on the outside, the interior is less unique. It's slightly more conventional. But what you do get, again, it's a nice mix of materials, a bit nice mix of colors as well. If you look on this way, on this side a little bit more, you can see that it has a few decent blue highlights around the aircon vent and the center screen, around this as well. Again, it's a very clever use of materials and colors. It makes the whole thing look a bit more, it pops out a bit more to you, less drab, less boring. And if you look down here, this car has got a full electronic, full LCD screen as a meter panel, so the whole thing can change. This car can show a lot of different information depending on what you do, depending on what buttons you press. Okay, as you can see down there, that is the fuel meter. You've got slightly less than 3/4 of fuel, but the trip computer says you can go for another 544 kilometers of range. Remember that this car has a very small, I wouldn't say very small, but it's certainly not a large fuel tank. It's only 45 liters of fuel, and even with that, this car can go up to 1,000 kilometers if you drive slowly enough. Yeah, I don't think any other car in this class, in this range, can match anywhere near as much in terms of range or fuel efficiency. Okay, back to the driver. The steering wheel has a very nice leather upholstery, has a very nice leather wrap, I would say, and it has a sort of a flat bottom steering wheel like that. Hyundai calls this the D-shaped steering wheel. It's a bit, I'm a bit, I can't really determine whether I like this or not, because if the steering, you know, it should be perfectly round, right? So when you turn around, you would expect this to be round as well. But whereas when it's cut like that, it's not as smooth as a normal round steering wheel. But most of the car industry is going towards this because it looks more sporty, and they say it also gives off a slightly bigger space for your knees to move around. Alright, fair enough. I can't really argue with that. Okay, up front here, the center screen. Let's turn it on. Sorry about that. This is something that I think is a bit of a turn off for this car. It looks very boring. It's actually low res as well if you look closely. It's not sharp. It's something that is a bit underwhelming if you look at the car. The car is obviously very high tech. It's got a high tech engine, high tech hybrid system, and then you see the meter. Everything looks good, and then the center screen lets it down a little bit. Menu. It's all very well, it's very old school, I think. There's nothing much you can do here. There's no map, there's no navigation. So even the settings that you can actually change is very limited. The display looks like it's been designed for a much smaller screen, so when you stretch it out to this large 7-inch screen, it looks a bit washed out. Not very high res. Okay, that's something that I don't like about this car. but there are a lot of things that I do like about it. It's very highly spec, so down here you get a full wireless Qi charger for your phone. So if your phone, like if you use a high-end Samsung for instance, you can use this. You just slot your phone down there and you charge it automatically. You also, you can also charge using these two 12-volt power sockets. If your phone doesn't support wireless charging, like if you're using an iPhone for instance. And on the outside, on the whole, this is a pretty nice looking interior. I think it looks interesting enough, and the materials that they've used, if you look very closely, is nice and soft. Not many CKD models in this price range have got actual soft dashboard, but this one does, and it's all very nicely textured as well. If you look very, very closely, it's not a standard plastic feel to it. It's all nice and rubbery. And this whole that finish is spread across the side of the door as well as the door cards. I think, yeah, this car does not feel like it's in the low hundreds price range. It definitely feels a lot more premium than that. One thing that does let it down is the use of if you look down here, there's a use of a foot brake as a handbrake, as a parking brake. So you're driving around and then you go to park, you have to lift your foot off very high up to reach the foot brake and then press it down. Quite why they've used this instead of a much more convenient electric parking brake, I have no idea. But yeah, so you're used with this, and of course when you want to pull off, it doesn't release automatically, so you actually have to press it down and release the handbrake. I know it's something that most people do not think. Some people may think that I'm just complaining or nothing, but once you're used to electronic parking brake, it's an extremely handy, extremely convenient feature that you just forget about it. It just works all the time. Whereas with this, you actually have to do a bit of manual labor. You can see how high I need to lift my knee up. If I have to do this every day, I think I wouldn't like it very much, as you can see. Alright, next. Up front here, driving position, it's nice. The seats are fairly comfortable. I've got lots of headroom, lots of knee room as well. No problems here. But let's go to the back and see how much space there is. There is to my sitting position. So leg room, no problems. I got a good 2 fists of space to the backrest of the front seat, so that's fine. And I can also slot my legs underneath the front seat like that. It's very, very comfortable. I've got no issues with leg room up here, so that's all fine. There's even enough space for me to cross my legs. So yeah. Leg room, totally no problems, no issues at all. It's decent for this class. It's not quite as spacious as the Honda Civic, for instance, but I wouldn't call it small either. So your kids, your friends will not complain so much when it comes to leg room. Headroom is a different matter. This is me sitting fairly upright, and you know I'm not a very tall person. I'm under 170 centimeters. But if I sit upright, my head is already touching the roof, as you can see down there. They're up here, and that's not good. If you're taller than me, as most of you are, you will not be able to sit behind here as comfortably. You can slouch, of course, and slide your bum slightly further. Then you sacrifice a bit of leg room, but you can get a bit more headroom here. Some people do not like this sitting position, of course, because it's puts a bit more pressure on your back. It's less comfortable. But on this car, it's something that you have to accept because headroom is very limited due to this sloping sloping roof that they've done. But what you do get is this rear aircon vents. As believe it or not, certain models in this class still do not give rear aircon vents. So this one does, which is a very good thing. And again, it has a nice blue trim around it, and as well as the carpets. It's small little details that make this car feel slightly more premium than what the price, the badge would suggest. Okay, that's all for practicality. Let's just finish up outside. That's the car sounding to me that the key is with me, and I got out the car, so there's no key in the car. It's just like noise. Anyway, that's about it for the new Hyundai ioniq. Like I said, the price is very good for the class, especially in Malaysia. Extremely high spec. If you get the HEV Plus version, it's got extremely good safety features. It's got a lot of high-tech stuff like wireless charger, power front seats, and everything. So in terms of value, this is fantastic. In terms of economy, fantastic. Yes. A few things let it down, of course. Performance it's not that great. Practicality-wise, the rear boot is shallow. The rear space, limited headroom. But yeah, if you factor everything in, it's still a very good buy for the class. It looks unique as well, more unique than say a Honda Civic. That's up to you to decide. What do you think about this car? Let us know. Put in the comments, either on Facebook, as you can see now, or on our site, powertan.org. Let us know how you think of the car. This is me, Hafrisha, signing off. Thank you for watching.